She came for a business, but the tech CEO shocks when he saw her triplets. Sometimes life gets hard. People leave, hearts break, and we feel lost. But here at Piece of Fiction, we believe in second chances, in love that comes back, in families that heal, and in hope that shines after the storm. If this story touched your heart, subscribe and help us reach 10,000 subscribers. Tell us in the comments where you're watching from. You're not just a viewer, you're part of our family now. Let's begin. The taxi drove away, and Celeste Weston stood on the sidewalk with her three little children. They were standing in front of a very tall glass building. The sign said, Pierce Technologies. Celeste held a small brown folder close to her chest with one hand. Her other hand held three smaller hands, her kids. They were the most important part of her life. Her son, Finian, pulled on her sleeve. His blonde curls bounced as he looked up at the building. "Mommy, is this a castle?" he asked. Celeste laughed a little. "Not exactly, sweetie, but this is where Mommy will show her idea to some very important people." Her daughters, Chloe and Sophia, stood quietly beside her. Chloe held a pink stuffed bunny, and Sophia held on to Celeste's blouse. They all looked up at the big building, amazed. They didn't know that inside this building was a man they had never met, a man whose face they had never seen, but who shared something very special with them. He was their dad. Inside, a kind lady with a flower scarf welcomed them. She smiled, got down on her knees, and gave the kids juice boxes and crayons. Celeste kissed each child on the forehead. "I'll be back soon. Be good for Miss Carla." "Okay." Three little heads nodded, one excited, one unsure, one serious. Celeste smiled and stood up straight. She fixed her skirt and took a deep breath. This wasn't just any meeting. This was the moment she had worked so hard for. Late nights, learning, failing, and starting again. She had done it all for this. But there was one more thing that made her nervous. The CEO she was going to meet was Dominic Pierce. He was the man she had once loved. He was also the father of her children, and he had no idea. As the elevator moved up, Celeste looked at her reflection in the shiny metal. She looked calm, but inside she was shaking. She had used her old last name when sending the proposal. She hoped that would keep Dominic from noticing. He was a busy man, right? He wouldn't see every little project. She tried to focus on her idea. Her invention helped small clinics and pharmacies work better together. It was smart and helpful. But no matter how hard she tried, her thoughts went back to Dominic. He had been her everything, her love in college, her comfort in hard times. But then one night everything changed, and he was gone. The elevator dinged. The door opened, and a young man in a nice shirt stood there with a clipboard. "Miss Weston? This way, please." She followed him through bright hallways, past glass walls and busy workers typing at their desks. Then they reached a boardroom, and there he was. He stood near the window reading something on a tablet. His back was half turned to the door. Celeste's heart stopped. His hair was shorter, and he looked stronger. His suit was dark blue, and he looked so serious now. When he turned around and saw her, his eyes widened. "Celeste?" he said softly, like he had seen a ghost. She nodded, her voice calm even though she was scared. "Hello, Dominic." She walked in and sat down. Her knees felt weak, but she didn't let it show. He sat down slowly, still looking at her in shock. I didn't know it was you." "Neither did I," she said gently. Then she opened her folder. "Shall I begin?" The room was quiet, except for the sound of the city outside. "Please," he said. Celeste began her presentation. Her voice was strong. She talked about her idea, how it worked, and how it could help people. Dominic asked some questions, but his eyes stayed on her face the whole time. He wasn't just listening, he was watching her closely. When she finished, she smiled and said, "I believe this partnership could help both of us." Dominic put his hands on the table. His eyes were softer now, but he still spoke like a boss. "Thank you for your presentation. My team will look over the details." Celeste nodded and started putting her things away. She was about to leave quietly. Then suddenly, bang! The door flew open. "Mommy!" shouted Finian as he ran into the room. His curls bounced as he rushed to her. Behind him came Briar and Lyra, giggling and running after him. "Finian!" Celeste called out, surprised. Miss Carla ran in behind them, out of breath. "I'm so sorry, he ran off while I was giving them snacks." "It's okay," Celeste said, bending down to hug her kids. But the room had changed now. It wasn't just about business anymore. Landon stood up slowly, his face pale. His eyes moved from Finian to Briar to Lyra. He looked like his whole world had just turned upside down. He saw Finian's curly hair, Briar's eyes, Lyra's shy little head tilt. They all looked like him. Celeste stood still as her kids hugged her legs, not knowing what they had done. Landon looked at her. His voice shook. "Celeste, what is this?" "These are my children," she said softly. "Finian, Briar, and Lyra. Triplets." He took a deep breath. Are they mine?" This was the moment Celeste had feared. The secret she could no longer hide. She nodded. "Yes," she whispered, "they're yours." Landon stayed on one knee, staring at the children like he couldn't believe what he was seeing. His hand gently touched Finian's arm. Finian looked at him with big eyes, but he wasn't scared. Celeste stood behind them, not sure what to do. She wanted to protect her kids, but something about the way Landon looked at them stopped her. He wasn't mad. He was shocked and heartbroken. Landon stood up slowly, still looking at Celeste. "I don't even know what to say," he whispered. "You don't have to say anything," Celeste said gently. "Not yet." He looked at her again, and his eyes were full of emotion. "Can we talk? Just the two of us?" Celeste nodded. She bent down and told the kids she'd be back soon. Carla came back to take them. Landon held the door open. Celeste walked out, and they walked quietly down the hall. He brought her to his office. It was big and full of light, but now it felt small. Landon stood by the window. "You were gone for years." Celeste stayed by the door. "I tried to reach you many times, but every time I did, someone stopped me." Landon turned. "What do you mean?" "I emailed you. I called you. I even went to your house," she said. His face showed confusion. "Your father answered the door," Celeste said. "He told me you were out of the country, that you didn't want me, or the baby. He said you cared about your job more than us." Landon's face turned white. "He said you knew I was pregnant, that you didn't care," Celeste continued. Landon's hand slid down the glass. "He told me you lost the baby, that you didn't want anything to do with me." Celeste's voice was quiet. "He gave me money to disappear, said I would be helping you. I didn't take it. I walked away." Landon shook his head. "I thought you just left, that you didn't love me anymore." "I was scared," Celeste said, "and your father said everything so clearly. I didn't know what to believe." Celeste looked at Landon and said quietly, "I was young. I was scared." And he said it so confidently, like it was the truth. Landon turned away, putting his hand on his forehead. "He told me you lost the baby," he said sadly. "He told me you didn't want me, that you were better without me." "I never said that," Celeste whispered. The office became very quiet. Only the sounds from the city came through the window. Landon slowly sat down in a chair. His hands were clenched tight. 4 years, he said in a low voice. 4 birthdays, 4 winters. I wasn't there for any of them. Celeste stood still. She wanted to hug him, but she didn't move. Landon looked up at her. "Do they know about me?" he asked. Celeste waited a second, then said, "They know their father's name. They've seen your pictures. They know he loved their mother a lot, and that sometimes life is hard and doesn't go the way we want." Landon blinked fast. "Do they call anyone else Dad?" "No," she said quickly. "No one." Something softened in his face. He nodded slowly and leaned back in his chair. He finally let out a deep breath. "I should have known he would lie to me," he said. "You were just trying to build your future," Celeste said gently. "I don't blame you for not seeing the truth." "I should have tried harder," Landon said, angry with himself. "I should have searched for you. But I believed him. I believed my own father instead of listening to my heart. Celeste slowly walked across the room and sat in the chair across from him. So did I, she said. They looked into each other's eyes. This time, neither looked away. Are they healthy? Landon asked after a while. The triplets? With his yes, said with a small smile. Briar talks a lot. Finian loves building things. Lyra is a little shy, but she draws beautiful pictures. Landon smiled softly. Like you. They are my whole world, Celeste said quietly. And now I guess they're your world too. Landon leaned forward, his hands clasped. I want to be there, Celeste. I want to know them. I want to earn your trust, if you'll let me. Celeste looked at him closely. You're saying all the right things. I mean every word, he said. But I understand. Trust takes time. I just never thought I'd get this chance again. And I never thought I'd walk into your office holding our kids' hands. They both laughed softly. It wasn't a big laugh, but it was real. Landon sat up straighter. There was a light in his eyes. What about your business pitch? He asked. We kind of forgot about it. Celeste smiled. I think you had other things on your mind. Well, you were amazing, he said quietly. I wasn't just hearing numbers. I saw a woman raising 3 kids all by herself and still building something strong. I was proud of you. Celeste gasped a little. Her breath caught. Landon leaned closer. I'm not saying that as a CEO, he said. I'm saying it as someone who used to dream with you, someone who knows how smart and special you are. Blinked back tears. That means more than you know. They sat quietly, thinking about the days when things were easier. Then Celeste asked, What now? Landon sighed. Now I want to meet my children. You already have, she said. I mean, really know them, every day, and if that means starting again with you, then I want that too. Celeste paused. Her heart felt both hopeful and scared. There's so much we lost, Landon. But not everything, he said. You're here. They're here, and I promise I won't let anyone take that away again. This time, Celeste reached out and placed her hand over his. He closed his fingers around hers and held on tight. I believe you, she whispered. Just then, the intercom on Landon's desk buzzed. Carla's voice said gently, Mr. Vela, your father is in the building. He's coming up. Celeste froze. Landon's face turned serious. I'll handle it, he said, standing up. No, Celeste said, standing too. This isn't just your fight. Landon looked at her, heart full of emotions, life, and nodded. The past was coming, but they were ready to face it together. The office door opened. Victor Vale walked in. He looked strict and serious. His dark suit was perfect and his tie was neat, but his face looked cold and mean. His eyes scanned the room and stopped on Celeste and Landon. So, Victor said, his voice sharp, it's true. They're yours. Landon stepped forward. His jaw was tight. You lied to me. Victor blinked. I protected you. She would have ruined your future. You stole my children, Landon shouted. You took away the woman I loved. You decided I didn't deserve a family. I saved your future, Victor said, walking further into the room. You were just out of school, chasing silly software dreams. That girl would have ruined everything. Don't call her that, warned. Victor raised an eyebrow. Still emotional, I see. No, Land said, strong and clear. Victor looked at Celeste, as well as, you should have stayed away, he said coldly. You made your choice. You disappeared. I didn't disappear, Celeste said, calm but strong. I came to tell him. You slammed the door in my face. Landon's eyes turned dark. They are not a problem. They are my children. Victor looked upset. Do you think this won't follow you? The board will ask questions. A CEO with secret children suddenly showing up? I don't care, Landon said. I'd give up my job, my money, everything, just to protect them. Celeste watched him in silence. She had never seen Landon like this before. He was strong, brave, and ready to protect. Victor shook his head. You've always been weak for her. That's why I stepped in. No, Landon said. You didn't help me. You controlled me. You never believed in me." There was a pause. For the first time, Victor looked unsure. "Do you think money makes this okay?" Landon asked. "You used it to make her go away." Victor stood stiffly. "I did it for our legacy." "Our legacy?" Landon repeated. "You destroyed it." The room became silent. Victor looked at Celeste, maybe hoping she would agree with him. But Celeste stood tall, her eyes strong. "You took years from us," she said, "but you don't get to take this moment." Victor looked away. Landon stepped closer. "You will never be part of their lives." Landon said, "I won't allow it." "You'd cut me off for this?" Victor asked. "You'd walk away from everything?" Landon nodded. "Yes, in a heartbeat." Victor's mouth tightened like he wanted to say more, but he had nothing left. He turned and walked out, the door closing loudly behind him. The room was quiet. Celeste let out a breath she didn't know she was holding. Landon sat down on the sofa, running both hands through his hair. "It's done," he whispered. "He won't give up easily," Celeste said softly. "Then I'll fight harder," said. "For them. For you. For us." Celeste took his hand. "I never thought I'd hear you say us again." "I never stopped thinking it," Landon said. Outside the door, they heard the soft laughter of children. Inside the room, a man and a woman who once had a broken love started to believe in something whole again. 2 days passed since Victor came. His threats were scary, but he hadn't done anything yet. Still, Celeste was careful. She knew silence didn't mean it was over. But Landon had changed. He wasn't just around, he was really there. He came to her home at 7 a.m. the next morning with coffee, cinnamon rolls, and a big smile. "I don't want to miss another breakfast," he said, "or another school run, or anything else." At first, Celeste didn't know what to do. She was not sure if it was a good idea, but then Finian came running out of the bedroom. He was barefoot with messy hair, shouting, "Daddy!" like Landon had always been there. Soon, Briar and Lyra joined him. They hugged Landon tightly, like vines holding onto a tree. Celeste's heart felt warm. Maybe it was okay. Maybe people can come back. Maybe they could try again. Not from the old place they left, but from where they were now. That week was quiet and gentle. Every day felt soft and peaceful. Celeste woke up one morning and saw Landon sitting on the couch. He was reading picture books. One arm was around two heads, the other arm around another. The kids were cuddled up with him. One afternoon, Celeste came back from the kitchen. She saw Landon on the floor. He had a little toolbox. He was trying to fix the wobbly leg on Briar's favorite dollhouse. "I used to fix computers," he said with a small smile. "Now I fix playrooms." Celeste laughed. "Same idea," she said. "You need to focus, be patient, and take care." Landon looked up at her. "And maybe use some glue," he added. Celeste giggled. Something soft and happy fluttered in her heart. It used to feel easy. Now it felt new, but nice. One afternoon, while the children were napping, Landon came outside. He sat next to Celeste on the little balcony. The sun was low in the sky. It made their coffee cups shine gold. Landon looked at her face. It was hard to read. "I've been thinking," he said, "about school, doctors, and what's best for the kids. I want to do things the right way." Celeste turned to him slowly. "You mean you want to share custody?" "I want more than that," Landon said kindly. "I want to be their father in every way. Money, school, love, everything." Celeste looked down. Her heart was full. The words were big and strong. Landon kept going. "I know I missed years, but I'm here now. I'll be here tomorrow and the day after that. You don't have to prove anything to me," said softly. "I want to," he said. "Even if I didn't choose to be gone, I should have tried harder. I should have known something was wrong." "I didn't give you many clues," she whispered. "I should have listened to my heart," he said. "I listened to my dad instead." They sat in quiet. It was soft but heavy. Then Celeste asked, "What if we mess this up?" Landon reached for her hand. "Then we keep trying. That's what love is." Her eyes filled with tears. It was true. That night, Celeste stood in the hallway. She watched as Landon put the kids to bed. He kissed Finian on the head and whispered something funny. Finian giggled. He tucked Briar's blanket just right. He sat with Lyra a little longer. She was shy and needed more time. She said something softly. Landon nodded and whispered, "You're safe. I've got you now." He came into the hallway. Celeste was waiting. "I'm not used to someone else doing bedtime," she said. "Did I do it wrong?" Landon asked, half smiling. "No," she said gently. "You did it just right." They stood close. They didn't touch, but something strong and quiet pulled them together. "I never stopped loving you, Celeste. Not even for a second. Even when I thought you were gone, part of me held on." "I thought you didn't care," Celeste said. "I thought you picked your dreams instead of us." Landon looked sad. "That will always hurt," he said. She reached up and touched his face. "We can't change the past," she said, "but maybe we can make something better now." He put his hand over hers. "Let's do it together," he said. That weekend, Celeste said yes. She let Landon take the kids to his big home just for the afternoon. It was the first time they went without her. She smiled bravely as she kissed them goodbye. But inside, she was nervous. The hours felt slow. She kept looking at the clock and jumping when her phone buzzed. Finally, Landon came back. He was holding Lyra in one arm. Finian and Briar were skipping beside him. Their cheeks had melted ice cream on them. "Everything okay?" Celeste asked. "They were perfect," Landon said. "We saw the aquarium, then the bookstore, and I bought them matching pajamas." Finian held up a bag. "Daddy got us a penguin book. It has flaps." Celeste looked into Landon's eyes. There was no acting, no pretending. He was really there. That night, after the kids were asleep, Lest opened her laptop. She wanted to check her emails, but one email stopped her. It was from Pierce Technologies. The subject line said, "Proposal approved. Let's build something together." Tears filled her eyes. Landon hadn't just come back for the children. He had helped with her dreams too. 2 weeks passed like a quiet breath. The kids were happy with Landon around. Morning drop-offs at school turned into handoffs between him and Celeste. Weekends were full of fun, museums, picnics, pillow forts, and evening walks under pink skies. But for Celeste, it wasn't just the children's laughter that showed change. It was the quiet way Landon kept showing up. No big promises, no loud words, just being there. One evening, after a school meeting, Celeste found a note in her mailbox. Her name was written on it. She opened it. The note said, "I once lost the future because I didn't fight for the present. This time I won't wait. Meet me where it all began. L." Celeste's heart beat faster. She knew the place. The campus courtyard hadn't changed. The brick path still went through the rose garden. The big oak tree still stretched over the lawn. She walked slowly. Every step brought back a memory. She and Landon had met on that bench. She had spilled her coffee. He had given her his scarf, and now there he was. Standing under the tree, holding the same scarf, it looked old but special. Landon turned. "You came?" he asked. She nodded. "You asked." They looked at each other. The past was quiet between them. Landon walked closer. "I picked this place on purpose," he said. "This was where it all began. I never forgot," said quietly. He reached into his coat and pulled out a small box. It was soft and velvet, but he didn't open it. He held it with both hands. "I'm not giving you this to fix the past," he said. "I'm giving it to promise the future." Celeste felt her heart fill up. Landon's voice was thick with feeling. "I didn't come back just for the kids. I came back for you. Not the memory of you, not a dream of you, but the real you. The one who had our babies, the one who built her own company, the one who still had the strength to see me again." Celeste's eyes were wet. "I know it takes time to trust," Landon said. "But if I could write vows tonight, I'd say this. I promise to show up, to stand beside you, to laugh with the kids, to love you every day." He opened the box. Inside was a ring. It was rose gold. It had 3 tiny diamonds in a twist. 3 stones, Landon said. 1 for each heartbeat that brought us back together. Celeste covered her mouth with her hand. She couldn't speak. Landon gently slipped the ring on her finger. You didn't even let me ask, he teased. You didn't need to, whispered, smiling through tears. He cupped her face and kissed her. It was slow and full of love. All the words they hadn't said were in that kiss. When they pulled apart, Celeste laughed. I should have worn waterproof mascara. You still look perfect, Landon whispered. They walked through the garden, holding hands. The stars were out by the time they got to her car. Celeste looked up. What now? She asked. Now, Landon said, we build something together, as partners, as parents, as a family. What about your father? She asked softly. I handled it, said. He's no longer on the company board. I bought his shares last week. You did what? Celeste blinked. I had help, he said, smiling, and a little secret power. She laughed in surprise. You never do things small, do you? Not when it comes to you, he said. The next morning, the triplets ran into Celeste's bedroom, shouting with joy. Mommy, Mommy, look what Daddy gave us. Each child held up a tiny gift bag. Inside the bag were matching bracelets. The bracelets had 3 stars joined together. Briar smiled brightly and said, because we are his stars. And he's never letting us go again, Finian said proudly. Lyra crawled into Celeste's lap and whispered, he's staying, right? Celeste kissed her on the head. Yes, sweetie, he's staying. Just then, Landon walked into the room holding a tray. I thought you might want breakfast in bed, he said. Was it the 20 giggles that gave us away? Celeste joked. He smiled, that and Lyra's big whisper. Celeste reached out, took his hand, and pressed it to her cheek. We're really doing this. Yes, we are, Landon said. Together. That evening, Celeste stood in the living room. She watched her children fall asleep in a blanket fort they built with Landon. Fairy lights twinkled above them. There were soft giggles from earlier tickle fights and bedtime stories. Landon came behind her and hugged her gently. She leaned into him. This is what I always dreamed of, she said. But it's even better, Landon replied. He rested his chin on her shoulder. It's only the beginning. 6 months later, little footsteps echoed in the marble hallway of Pierce Technologies. Celeste stood near the front desk holding a clipboard. Briar spun slowly near a tall marble pillar. Lyra held a sketch pad under one arm. Finian was hiding, but his giggles gave him away. He was under the front desk. Landon walked up with 2 smoothies and a box of mini cookies. Snacks ready, he said with a grin. Celeste took one and smiled. Snacks work best before meetings, not after. Laughed. We have triplets. Snacks are how we survive. He leaned in and kissed her temple. Are you ready for this? Celeste nodded. Yes. Final pitch. Full circle. Behind them, Celeste's team worked quietly. Everyone was focused. 2 weeks ago, a big company called Pierce Technologies offered to buy her business. They wanted to add her idea to their medical team and make her the leader. This was a big moment. This time, Celeste wasn't walking in as a stranger. She was walking in as someone who built something amazing, all while raising 3 kids. She was walking in as the woman Landon once lost. But now, proudly stood beside. The boardroom felt different now. It wasn't just the tall windows or fancy chairs. It was the feeling in the air. People believed in her. Landon stood and said, "This is Celeste Weston. She's the founder, the smart mind behind all this, and the reason we are changing how patients get their medicine." He didn't say, "my fiancé." He didn't have to. Celeste gave her speech. She spoke with heart. She told them about mothers who missed their medicine, about kids who didn't get care in time because the system was too slow. She didn't talk from books. She talked from real life, from her own memories. After her last slide, the room went quiet. Everyone was thinking. Landon gave her a little nod. It meant, "You did it." The board said yes. They approved it that day. That evening, Celeste sat on the balcony of their apartment. Yes, they had finally moved in together. The twins were asleep, curled up like mirror images. Finian had fallen asleep on the couch, mid-sentence, mid-cookie. Landon joined her with a glass of water. 2 first steps, he said, and full circles, Scylla said, raising her glass. He sat down next to her. Do you ever think about the version of us that didn't make it? He asked. Yes, said softly. Landon looked out at the sky. I spent so long thinking about the future, I forgot to enjoy the now. You're different now, she said. So are you, he replied. I had to be, Celeste said. The kids needed me. I need you too, Landon said gently. She laughed. That's a lot of pressure. He looked serious. You were the strong anchor I didn't know I needed. When I lost you, I lost my balance. Now I know love isn't a problem. It's the reason. Her eyes filled with warmth. You've always known what to say. I've had 6 months of bedtime stories to practice, he joked. One sunny afternoon, Landon was in the park teaching Finian how to fly a kite. The girls were nearby playing hopscotch. Celeste sat on a blanket drawing new logo ideas for her business. She looked up just in time to see the kite fly high in the sky. Finian squealed with joy. Landon ran behind him, both of them laughing. Mommy, Briar shouted. Can we get ice cream after this? Celeste smiled. Only if you beat me at hopscotch. Lyra jumped up. Then I get 2 if I win twice. Deal, Syl said, pretending to be very serious. Landon jogged back, holding the kite string. His forehead was shiny with sweat. Our son just outran me, he said. Silish handed him a napkin. Good luck keeping up for the next 15 years. He sat down beside her. If I get old chasing them, I'll call it an honor. She kissed his cheek. You're already their hero. That night, the sky turned purple as the stars came out. Celeste stood by the window watching the kids sleep. Landon came behind her and hugged her. You're quiet, he said. Just thankful, she whispered. There was a time I thought I'd never feel safe again. You made it through. We all did. She turned to look at him. Do you think we'll always be this lucky? No, he said softly. But I think we'll always choose each other, even when it's hard, especially then. She rested her head on his chest. That's what I needed to hear. The wedding wasn't big. It happened under the same oak tree where Landon had once asked her to marry him. Only family and a few friends came. Finian carried the ring box with great care. Briar threw flower petals, stopping often to make sure it looked nice. Lyra held Celeste's hand until the last step, then let go all by herself. As Celeste stood in front of Landon, her heart was full. We made it, she whispered. Landon's voice shook with love. I'd go through every storm again just to find you at the end. They promised to love, forgive, and grow, even when life got hard. Thanks for watching. If you liked the story, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share your thoughts in the comments. Check out our other videos too. See you in the next one.